nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I get to the meat of everything, and get to maybe some basic rules of how we're going to run things. There are a couple of representatives here. If there are no objections, I'd like to let them speak and then move on their way if they would like to, or say if they want to, it's totally up to them. If there are no objections. John, would you like to speak first? Sure.
My name is John Harrison. I'm your representative of the House in Montpelier. My assignment was in the Education Committee, so that's been quite a bit of my focus has been in the committee. That's what a great deal of work gets done. One bill will make it to the House floor. Depending on committee work. I want to just touch on a few of the highlights. I don't want to take up too much of your time. And this started way back in January when the governor gave his State of the State address. And the emphasis was workforce development. Anybody that drives around anywhere or visits any business realize that there are help wanted signs everywhere. The state of Vermont needs to develop a workforce that can support the economy that we've developed. The budget that just went past the House included significant money for the career technical centers. Cavendish belongs to Green Mountain. Green Mountain sends the kids over to River Valley over in Springfield. That is a tremendous facility. And I hope that your 8th graders are looking at participating in the career development center over there. And it's not just banging nails and like that. They do audiovisual, robotics, they do computer. It's truly a great facility. An emphasis also is on the state college system, which is Appleton, Northern University, which is Linden, and Vermont Technical College and Community College in Vermont. Those are the components that are in the Vermont college system. Last year, they were in very serious condition. They had a debt load that something wasn't done. They literally were going to go out of business. This year, we're putting a one-time large chunk of money to help get them back on their feet. And it's really important the state of Vermont maintains that system. Over 10,000 Vermonters attend the Vermont college system. UVM, there's more money going to UVM. There's $10 million going to UVM, and UVM is going to dedicate it to student assistant for Vermonters. These all work around the workforce development. The education tax, there's going to be some significant changes coming up in the coming year. There's a bill right now that what the problem is, way back when the Brigham decision was that all students in Vermont have to be educated to the same level. And there were great discrepancies. You didn't have to look too far to the west over Ludlow to realize that they had all kinds of money, they could do whatever they wanted. And then you get the other communities that weren't made. So the Brigham decision forced the state of Vermont through the Supreme Court to come up with a system that all kids in Vermont have the same opportunity. And we're still struggling with the system to be able to do that. And the bill that's going to come out is going to significantly affect all the communities in Vermont. It's called the weighting study. And basically what it's going to do, without getting into the nitty-gritty, it looks at a community and depending on how rural it is, you get a little more money. Depending on how many kids you have that come from a disadvantage of poverty, you get a little more money. So some communities are going to gain from this, and some communities are going to lose. I'm not going to speculate what Cavendish will fall, but I got to deal with the folks to be okay. The other emphasis this session has been on housing. Once again, there's very little inventory available. Houses are being starved up by people that all they did is buy them and they turn them into Airbnb, which takes them off the market, takes them out of being available for Vermonters. It's hard to develop an economy if people want to move to Vermont to work and they don't have a place to live. And we're finding that. So the emphasis in the bill that just left the Senate is to help the communities do projects similar to what you folks have down on Select Green, and concentrate the populations into the village centers to make a more robust village center and develop more housing. The two bills that left the House, all money bills begin in the House. We passed out two bills last week. They had to get out by Friday to go to the Senate, the transportation bill, 870 million. And the big bill, they call it, which is everything else, with 8 billion. That was seeded significantly with ARPA money, the money from the feds. There was a tremendous effort to make sure that these one-time funds that were sticking in the $80 billion budget aren't seeded with things that we won't be able to maintain when the money's gone. This is the last year that ARPA money is going to be put in the budget. So next year is going to be an entirely different thing. There are a lot of one-time spending, and once again, there are things that go back to the rural development and the housing. Something you're going to be on the November ballot. There's two constitutional amendments that have passed. To amend the Vermont Constitution requires a vote of the legislature for two sessions. So it was passed 2 years ago, and both amendments were passed this year. One amendment is pretty much a no-brainer. We've patted ourselves on the back as being the first state, and probably so, the first state to ban slavery. When you read exactly how it's written, it says that you can still be a slave up to the age of 21. So anyway, that's going to get cleared up. You'll have a chance to vote on that in November. The second constitutional amendment, which everybody's got a strong opinion on this, you all get to vote on it in November, is reproductive right, also known as abortion. I got a lot of mail on it. I understand how emotional it is. So anyway, give us a thought in November. It's going to be an important vote. I'll hang around for the rest of your meeting. If you have any questions, give me a shout.
Thank you, John. Next was Mr. Baptista. Someone wanted to say something real quick.
Thank you very much. Good evening, I'm Thomas Baptista. I'm going to be running for Windsor County Sheriff coming up this year. I've been with the department since 2002. 2011, I moved to the administrative division of it. My platform is a new work contractual agency. I'm going to try to get more community group involvement to see what the communities are needing, in addition to trying to have a civilian review committee review complaints for the department to have as deputies. I'd like to also get deputies to be out publicly in the community in plain clothes, not in uniform, just getting embedded and doing different things, so that it can become more of one. You can see how we operate. So the primary thing, in addition to mental health, which is right now is in a crisis. Possibly going to try to get maybe some workers to work with deputies, get some teams out there. We'll hopefully find the funding together to do all that. That's basically, in a nutshell, my platform. I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. And then lastly, Mr. Gross wanted us to remind us, or if we haven't already heard, that although his name is on the ballot for school board, he would rather you not vote for him. He doesn't care who you vote for, just don't vote for him.
I do care. I'd like you to vote for Steve. So the ballot, there's two people listed here. Some of you have heard this before. I have been serving for a year on the school board because there were 2 empty spots when I first volunteered, and it's a job that needs to get done. As you know, I have some conflict of interest because my wife is employed by the school district. I've had to pass up on some votes recently. You also know that I'm a busy guy, and I don't have, this week I think I spent about 25 hours working on school board stuff. I don't have that sort of time to keep going, and I had asked Steve Ronnie to consider doing it, and he said, "Yeah, I'll think about it." Well, didn't get the paperwork in before the first deadline that I got from Diane, and so I turned in the paperwork because nobody else has done it. And then next week, Steve says, "Yeah, I think I can do that school board thing." I said, "Oh man, Steve, you should have let me know." Well, he was smarter than me because he went to the town office and lo and behold, he got his name on the ballot. So he comes back and says, "I'm on the ballot." So you can't be on the ballot. "No, I'm on." So I go, yep, but I couldn't get off. I'm asking you to please vote for Steve, and I don't know if you want to say anything.
I should
in
probably
order
say
of
something.
fairness.
Yes, let me say one thing.
Thank you.
Abe has done a brilliant job of trying to promote and preserve a very wonderful school. And, you know, if he does have a shortcoming, it's that he can't lobby as hard for teachers and teacher representation. And great job they've been doing in Cavendish, as he might if he wasn't married to a teacher. So my focus is going to be on really doing everything I can to help the teachers and help the school continue to be as great as it can be, despite the enormous pressure that's being put on them right now.
Thanks, Steve. All right, so some basic reminders about tonight are some just informational stuff. Tonight, all the articles that we're going to be talking about are going to be voted on by Australian Ballot, so we're not going to be able to amend, change, adjust, or do anything to them other than read and then give informational about it. So I'm here to facilitate that discussion, that informational discussion. I asked that when you're recognized to speak, that you speak to me, or if you have a question for one of the board members, or they're going to answer it and you have a discussion with them, that's fine. But I'm assuming Okemo Valley TV would like you to come up and speak into the microphone so the people on Zoom, good evening, everybody, would be able to hear you too. I will still read the articles, ask for a motion in a second so that we can open them up for discussion, even though it's informational. Please raise your hand to speak and we'll try to recognize you in a particular order, as orderly as we can. And if you want to speak a second time on something, that's fine. I just ask again that if you need to direct a question, that you direct it towards me and not the person who you want to ask, and then we'll see if they can stand and clarify for you. Other than that, is there anybody here for a first time? Anybody out there for a first time? If there is, welcome. And before I begin with the reading of the articles and the information, I would like to have a moment of silence for those townspeople who have left us in the last year. Thank you. All right. Cavendish Town meeting warning on Monday, March 28th at 7 p.m. The legal voters of the town of Cavendish and the county of Windsor are hereby notified and warned to meet at the Cavendish Town School or via Zoom on Monday, March 28th, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. and at the Parksville Fire Department at 10 o'clock in the forenoon on Tuesday, the 29th day of March of 2022 to transact the following business. Okay. All the articles will be voted on Australian ballot tomorrow at the polling station between 10 and 7. Article 1 will be to elect town officers for the ensuing year. What's your pleasure on this? I need a motion in a second so that we can open it up for anybody's information. Moved by John, second by Bob. Is that okay? Okay. The article reads to elect town officers for the ensuing year. Are there any questions about any of that? We've already got our information from Abe and Steve. There's a sample ballot in the back of the book. You don't have a book, there were some extras up here on the table. Any questions out there in Zoom land? Okay, my favorite article. Article number 2, to see if the town will vote to collect all taxes on real and personal property for which it has a statutory taxing authority in installments. Taxes collected by the town are to be paid to the treasurer on August 15th, November 15th, February 15th, and May 15th, with interest of 1% per month added to any tax principal balances due not paid by the quarterly due date. The final due date for all principal balances is the 15th day of June, after which they shall become delinquent and are subject to an 8% penalty in addition to the interest. If a payment due falls upon a day that treasurer's office is officially closed, payments then due will be accepted without penalty or interest added if they are received by 4:30 p.m. the next business day. Amounts allocated to current year taxes under the state of Vermont's homestead property tax income sensitivity program shall be applied to all taxpayers' property tax installments pro rata. Total adjustment divided equally between all quarterly installments. This is in accordance with 32 VSA 6066. What's your pleasure? Got a move? Got a second? Any questions about any of that? Okay, moving right along then. There were no questions. No questions. Sorry if I forgot you guys. Article number 3. Will the voters adopt the fiscal year 2022-2023 town budget as proposed by the Board of Selectmen in the amount of $1,783,357? What's your pleasure?
So move.
Move. Second? Any questions about the town budget? I'm sure you were all staying up late reading the book and just gripped by all the in-depth information that's in there. We had a lot of fun putting it together. I'm sure Brendan had.
Thank you to the boards for their hard work putting it together. It was tedious month, especially moving in and out of COVID. We did a lot. A lot of hard work went into it, but I think we have a very productive budget moving forward. So thank you very much.
No questions, no concerns, no comments?
Nothing else.
Okay, moving right along. Article 4, to see if the legal voters of the town of Cavendish will approve the amount of $20,863 to a town surplus realized for the fiscal year of 2020-2021 to be applied toward the payment of the principal and interest of the town's solar note. What's your pleasure? Any questions about that? You guys are making this way too easy. Nothing? Everybody's good on all that?
Good.
Now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in favor?
Wow,
Any opposed? You guys appear to have it. You guys have it.
20 minutes.
We have a meeting, folks,
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
much like last year.
Yeah. Brendan, do we have a list of